Hey everybody, so today I'd like to talk about basic strumming rhythms. So no finger picking or anything fancy, but just the idea of how do you strum. You know, a lot of people ask me, what do you do with this hand? Everyone's so focused on what this hand is doing that they sort of don't pay very much attention again to the right hand, and I think it really needs to be, addressed in a really concerted practicing kind of way, in a really intelligent way, because this thing is making all the sound, whether it's a pick of your fingers or hybrid picking or thumb pick or whatever picking mechanisms you want to use to hit the string. It's all about that hitting the string. So if you have a beat that's going along like that, the most basic thing you could do is just strum every beat. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm strumming basically quarter notes. So I'm strumming down, my hand has to come up, and then it goes down again. So those would be all down strokes that I'm doing with my hand. So your hand has to come back up to go down again. So if you think of that as being eighth notes, twice as fast, if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just slip an and in between and actually hit the strings on my way up, I'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so now I'm playing straight eighth notes. If I want to go faster than that, then I'm playing 16th notes. So I'm playing 4 things for every beat. And the best way to think about that is saying 1 E and So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and kind of rolls off the tongue easy. And it's constant. It's 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. So all those strumming patterns, if I played 16th notes slowly, then they could sound like quarter notes. If I played quarter notes fast, they could sound like 16th notes. So it's all relative to the beat at the time. So if the beat's going like this, and I want to combine quarter notes with eighth notes, then I'll play every beat a different one. So I'll go quarter and then I'll go eighth. So 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. The really important thing is that my hand won't really look any different depending on whatever rhythm I'm doing. So it never stops. So if the grid is going to be quarters, my hand's doing this with my foot. If I do eighth notes, it's twice as fast, but it still kind of looks the same. Now 16ths will be twice as fast as that, so it'll be quicker. But you can tell that looks the same as doing this. So the action doesn't change. So that's the problem I have with saying, down, down, up, that there's no kind of groove going there. So that, for a player that already knows about rhythms, it's all well and fine to say down, down, up, and they know that you're talking about a quarter and then 2 eighth notes. But when you're starting, I would suggest that you do a constant rhythm. And you can think about it as eighth notes would probably be easiest. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm playing them really even right now. I'm just muting the strings. And by just accenting, let's say I want to accent beat 1 and beat 3 and beat 4. So it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now I don't have to play in between, but my hand will still swing like it is. Just lift it away from the strings. So it would be like this then. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The point being, the thinking is no different, and it's so my hand just keeps going. It's just whether I want to hit the strings or whether I want to hit them constantly and then just maybe put an accent. So if I went 1 and 2 and 3, I get the same pulse sort of pushes. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, as I did if I didn't play the strums. You know, they're obvious there because there's nothing else. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 but here they're still there. I'm just hitting harder on those ones and pulling back on the weak ones. So that can be quite effective. If I just play some chords and start doing that, just watch my hand. It won't look like it's changing at all. So I can change that. Let's say I try to go on the 1 and on the end of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So it gives you a different kind of feel. Again, if I did that without strumming in between, I would get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. But all the time, my hand, basically looks the same. It may be slightly different because I may even start to feel some 16ths in between there that I might want to sort of warm up and do next. But, most of the time my hand looks basically the same, like it's just going down, up, and then it depends on where you hit the strings. So if you start muting strings, you can really get some nice grooves with that. But it's just about putting the accent or the actual chord hit on some other beats other than just simply 1 or 1 and 3 or 2 and 4 or wherever you happen to put it. So I'm going to look at the tune Early Morning Rain by Gordon Lightfoot. He, quite often played a 12-string, and he liked a big sound. So he would, typically play quite a few strings, even if he played his 12-string or if he played the 6-string even. He would play these full voicings, I call them. So if you play a D chord, I'm capoed at 3 just because he is for this song as well. So if you want to try it along with him, you can, it'll sound the same. So I'll refer to them just as you would without the capo. So this is a D chord, we all know that. Now, I'm playing the low string as well because I have it tuned down to a D right now. So it's tuned like the 4th string. Just simply tune it down a whole step to D. And now I've got all these chords, if you're talking about a 3-note chord, a major chord, or a minor chord, there's only 3 notes in them. So it's always the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. So on a D chord, you have a D, no E, but you have an F sharp, no G, but you have an A. So you simply, you can make voicings out of any one of those 3 notes that you choose. So I've got D, F sharp, A, another D open, of course, that everybody plays as a D chord. You can hit the A because it's in the chord, and I can hit that low D that I tuned down. So this is a really fat D chord. That's one of the main reasons people tune down to open D. So then the chords in this song are G, then he goes to D chord, then he goes to a G, and I like to call this a G5 position because I'm playing the notes G, B, D in the chord, but I'm playing more Ds, so I'm going to leave that D where it is, and I'm going to add the G on top, play the open G, play the open D, so now I have 2 Ds, and I'm going to stick a B on this string because I need something in the chord, G, B, or D. And this is D, so this is another D in there. So it's a really, I just call it G5, simply because D is the fifth note of G. G, A, B, C, D. So, you know, most people refer to that as a power chord. You know, where you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're playing a root note, and then it's fifth note. This just has 3 of them in it, in this particular shape. And this is one that he uses in this song. And again, it's very full. Normally a D chord is kind of small with only 4 strings. So this is a G chord. So now on this G chord, he's playing a full chord, which you could play in the normal fingering, but it sounds pretty cool with the D in the bass as well. So now on the A chord, you know, you're used to playing an A chord like that with the A open. I could stick my thumb on that low string, which now brings an E into the picture. So now we have A, C sharp, and E, which are the 3 notes in an A chord, but I have an E on the bottom. So again, I've got a really full, fat chord. So if I play the intro of the tune, he does something like this. So that's pretty much, you know, the chords of the song. There's one spot in the song where there's 2 G chords back to back, and the bass player's playing an E in the bass for one, which effectively turns it into an E minor 7 chord. So the fingering of that is quite easy if you want to use it. I don't think Gordon Lightfoot actually plays it this way, but it sounds pretty cool. So if this is the G chord, we had an open D, a B, a D open, a G open, a D, and a G. If I want E minor 7 out of that chord, all I do is lie my first finger flat. It gets now an E, a B. I could play either the E or I could play the D there as well. And then that will give me the E minor because it's E, G, B. So I have an E, a B, a G on top, and the D would give me the E minor 7 chord. So it's E, G, B, D. So I have E, G, B, another E here, and a D on the second string. So it's quite a close chord to G. So if you play E minor 7 and you play G, they're not that much different. In fact, the E minor 7 only has the E that the G doesn't have. But it sounds quite good in that one bar. So what he does in this is he plays on beats. Well, it's different depending on what you listen to, but if you listen to his recorded version, like the very first recording, he's playing on beat 1 and beat 3 and beat 4 primarily. And again, he's playing 16th notes. So it would be like this, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a like that. But he's going 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. So that's where the accents are. And you'll hear, you know, the drummer will be playing a kick drum on those beats. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and so you can follow it.
My pockets full of sand. 3, 4, 1. I'm a long way from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go.
Now that sounds a little mechanical because I'm really thinking about just playing those. When I actually would play it, and you know, Lightfoot as well, and anybody really that's playing, you know, they're not going to stick to that religiously. It's going to change, and they're going to add some other accents in there, and it makes it, you know, a little bit more human and a little less robotic. But you want that kind of groove all the time. And again, the drummer will tend to be, you know, playing those kick drum pushes, or pushes on any drum, but in this case, it's the kick drum that's pushing, that's driving it, and the bass player are working together to give you that kind of feel. So yeah, I talked about the chords that he uses. On the A chord, you notice I played sometimes with that E in the bass. If I didn't want to use that thumb wraparound thing, I wouldn't play that string and I'd play a normal A chord. But he'll play a sus chord, which is really all you're doing is replacing the third of the chord, which on an A chord would be C sharp, with the next note. It's always 1 fret higher, which is the 4th, and that would be the note D. So you get kind of that hanging off the edge of a cliff kind of feel. And sometimes they resolve, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they do. So I get this sound A to A sus back to A. You can do that on any chord. He tends to do it in this just on that A chord sometimes. So yeah, the other way that I've heard him do this is just an accent on 1 and on the and of 2. So that would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. That's against the beat. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a... So that's pretty cool. I like that a little bit better. It's a little bit more syncopated. When it's on the offbeat that you're putting an accent, it's called syncopation. So he's going like... So the intro would be something like... In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand, with an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand. I'm gone away from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go. So there's a little tip on maybe Gordon Lightfoot playing fairly constantly in 8th notes or 16ths, but he does a lot of sort of steady 16th note patterns with just accents on different parts of the beat. So it'd be really great to practice that on your own with just trying accents on different parts of beats, on different beats, and just see what you can make of that. But really try to keep it sort of robotic and constant so that you really hear where they should be. And then later, when you get more comfortable with it, you know, you can loosen it up and it'll start to feel really, really great and give you lots of different rhythmic things to do in just a strumming situation. Oh, one other thing. So when you're doing that, quite often, what I do anyway, is when I'm doing the accented pushes of the chords, I'll play more to the top strings because they cut through better. And my sort of general patter will be on the bottom. So if it's like this, I'll do that same one. So I'll accent the 1, and then on the end of, or I'll do the first one, I'll go 1 and then 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3. So my pick is just kind of hanging out down here. Lower part of the chord. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the early morning rain, with a dollar in my hand. It's quite effective, and again, the hand looks like it's just going down, up really constantly. And if I tried that syncopated one, syncopated, it goes like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. In the early morning rain, with a dollar in my hand. So obviously your singing has to be coordinated with that as well. And it may change where you put the inflections or the phrasing in the vocals as well. But there you go. That's a few things on right hand. And again, the most important thing I can stress is just to keep that right hand going constantly. It's just incessant. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And if that's a little too quick at the beginning, just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can achieve all the same rhythms just at a slower, be like a half-time feel. Okay, cheers. Have a great time working with that. See ya.